Hello. Okay, we're going to be starting chapter 9. I want you to follow along and mark your inner voice as I continue reading. I'm not going to read the whole chapter, but I'll get you guys started like normal. Then you're going to fill out a summary for chapter 9 of the 3 to 4 most important events. And then you have one inner voice response that you're going to be doing. The inner voice prompt is telling you to focus your inner voice on character. So you can choose which character from chapter 9 you would like to focus on. And I want you to think about or respond or question or infer or predict about one of the characters in the chapter. If you really would like to push yourself here, thinking about how you want to grow as a reader, think about how that character has maybe changed from chapter 1 till the end of chapter 9, and maybe write about that as your inner voice. Okay, so here we go for chapter 9, which is called The Dragon Wakes. I want you to think about the title of the chapter and why you think the author chose that title for the chapter. Also take note that this chapter takes place over 5 months' time, so from December 1905 to April 1906. By the time the winter rains came to the city, we were not becoming rich, but we were doing well. Each day we put a little money away in our old tin can. Father never said anything, but I knew he was thinking about the day when we might be able to afford to bring Mother over. You see, it was not simply a matter of paying her passage over on the boat. Father would probably have to go over after her and escort her across. There had to be money for bribes, tea money, Uncle called it, at both ends of the ocean. Now that we no longer belonged to the company, we somehow had to acquire $1,000 worth of property, a faraway figure when you can only save nickels and dimes. So talk about, a goal here that they have in terms of bringing Mother over, both of whom they haven't seen Mother in years, and they would like to reunite their family. A lot of you, when you were identifying a potential theme in the story, picked family as a theme. So maybe annotate that as theme. As evidence of theme in terms of family. Maybe also think about in terms of a potential theme of responsibility. And yet, the hope that we could start our own little fix-it shop and qualify as merchants steadily grew with the collection of coins in the tin can. I was happy most of the time, even when it became the time for the New Year by the Tang people's reckoning. Our New Year came a few months after the Demon's New Year, and our celebrating lasted for several days. Traditionally, it was a time for paying our debts and patching up any quarrels that may have occurred during the year. I had hoped that Uncle and Father would make up so that we could spend Father's Day off, or at least an evening celebrating the New Year with the company, but both Father and Uncle kept quiet. They were still hurt with one another, and perhaps, too, they did not trust their tempers yet. The first week of the New Year is no time to become angry. Instead, we stayed at home in the stable, but we were not alone. Robin came to help us with the New Year's feast. I want you to think about here some comparing and contrasting between how we celebrate New Year's here, traditionally in America, versus how our main characters are celebrating their version of New Year's. We took the old picture of the Stove King and smeared some honey on it before we burned it in the stove. Later that evening, we would hang up a new picture of the Stove King that we had bought in the Tang people's town. There was a sign the Stove King had returned to his place. That was a sign the Stove King had returned to his place above our stove. After we had finished burning the old picture, we sat down to a lunch of meat pastries and dumplings. Robin ate quietly, for her, that is. Actually, she monopolized only half the conversation. Look, she said, my aunt would never go in for those pagan customs, not in her house. But I could sneak the old picture out and tell her you wanted to replace it with a new one. Then you could smear honey on it for her. But you believe in the Stove King. Of course not, she snapped. She squirmed in her seat. But it might make you feel better. I could see that she really wanted to make herself feel better. No sense taking chances with the supernatural and so on. I could tell her train of thought because I sometimes carried the little cross she had given me in my pocket, just as insurance. I mean, maybe American demons could be scared off by American charms. Sure, why not? I said, feeling a little triumphant. I set to the dumpling on my plate while the rain fell steadily on the roof. Later, Robin took her umbrella and fetched back the Stove King. We smeared extra honey on it. Father was not going to take any chances, and then we burned it too. When it came time to hang up our new picture, I took out the extra picture of the Stove King that I had bought just in case Robin did decide to celebrate the New Year properly. With a satisfied smile, I gave it to her. So if I was going to be marking this up here, I might annotate this as a couple things. First, we are seeing some character change with both Robin and Moonshadow here, and how they're changing and developing based upon the friendship that they are having with each other. So maybe friendship would be another thing that I would annotate as potential theme here in the story. Okay, I want you to finish reading the chapter and then finish the assignment on Classroom and make sure to submit when you're done.